There's a debate going around in football now. Is there too much input from too many voices? What do they mean by this? What they mean by this is, imagine under 16 Cat 1 academy player plays for England as one-to-one coach, as a technical coach, as a tactical coach, as a mentor, as a nutritionist, as a strength and conditioner, as a psychologist, and as obviously on top of that you got all the input from coaches in clubs, in the club, in England, as well as parents. Is that too much? I'm not saying it is, and I'm not saying it isn't. Now, the debate that you guys suggest is that there is too many voices, and to a degree, I agree, because too many voices, too many different. I understand that sometimes the message could be the same, but delivered in a different way. Sometimes can be interpreted in a complete different manner, and we know how that goes. But I do think a lot of the times now, especially in youth development, there's a huge amount of voices in players' development, and this is not a bad thing in a way in terms of development, because obviously we all know experts bring different things to the table. We understand that absolutely, as we see like in professional development, we see like all these players, professional players, have got all these inputs as well. You may argue that if they have it, why shouldn't the youth have it? Now, my argument with that is I agree, but the other part of the argument is there's a little bit sometimes that it can be too much. I do see sometimes parents asking, I've got a kettlebell coach, I've got a core coach, I've got a technical coach, they've got a mentor, they've got a psychologist, and they pay for nutritionists, and it comes to a point, it's almost like they're racing their way to almost to success. However, that success in itself might merely be average. Okay, now we've got to be very careful. Obviously, you've got to be in it to win it. I understand that. But sometimes you've got to also measure what you're doing versus what is supposed to be done. So I would say just make sure you do your right homework and speak to people that are qualified in the area, that have got expert knowledge and qualifications that can give you really some sort of like, what does it look like? What does the journey look like? Because a lot of the times I see a lot of people hating on trainers, hating on coaches, but ultimately they do a good job too. So on a fence.